Hello mathematicians, this is lesson 10.4, factoring to solve quadratic equations. So, the zero product property you're going to want to put down in your notes. For every real number a and b, if a times b is 0, then a is 0 or b is 0. So it just means 7 times 0 equals 0, then one of your numbers has to be 0. That's just obvious. You probably think that's stupid. Okay, so here's how you do this. To factor to solve a quadratic equation, they will give you an equation in factored form, if you remember this from chapter 9. So really, essentially, all you're doing is you're looking to see what would make this 0, which would be negative 3, and what would make this 0, which would be negative 2. So my two answers are negative 3 and negative 2. So try A and B, and then we'll go over it. Okay, so this first one, if I put in a negative 7 plus 7, that would be 0. And if I put in a 4 minus 4, that would be 0. So my answers are negative 7 and 4. Super easy. Okay, here, this one's a little bit trickier. This one, I have 3y minus 5, and I want it to equal 0. So I'm going to add 5 to both sides. So then I get 3y equals 5. Divide by 3. So y equals 5/3. Kind of strange. And then this one is 2. So my two answers are 1 2/3 or 5/3 and positive 2. Okay, so really what is going to be the hardest part is factoring the equation into the factored form, because after that it's super simple. So here they did x squared plus 6x plus 8, and then they factored it into x plus 2 and x plus 4, and then you know your answers are negative 2 and negative 4. So try this problem, example 2, and then we will correct. Okay, so if I want to factor this, I know that I'm going to have x here, and I need my factors of 48. So I have 2 and 24. Well, that's not going to get me 8. 48 divided by 3, does that work? 3 goes into 4 once, and 3 goes into 18 6 times. So 3 and 16, that doesn't get me to 8 either. So 4 and 12, that would work, because I want my answer to be negative. So I know that 1 is positive, because if I look here, I know that 1's positive and 1's negative, because you can't get a negative without having one of each. So if I want negative 8, I'm going to have negative 12 and plus 4. So negative 12 and plus 4. So my answer here would be 12 minus 12 is 0. And my answer here is negative 4 plus 4 is 0. So my two answers are 12 and negative 4. All right, solving by factoring. So now here's a little bit tougher of an equation. And if you notice, it has an equal sign and then the 88. So your first step is going to be to move the 88 to the other side so that you only have 0 on this side. It's a little bit different than what we've done in the past, where we've tried to keep the sides balanced. Now you want to get everything onto the left side so that you only have 0 on the right. Okay, so try number 3, and then we'll go over it. Okay, so I'm going to add 36 to both sides. And then I have to factor this. So if I want this to be a negative, I know that both of my answers, if I want this right here to be a negative, I know that both of these have to be negative because this is positive. So two negatives make a positive. So now I just had to get my factors of 36, which my guess would just be 6 times 6, because it would get me to 12. And 6 times 6 is 36. So this one's kind of funny, because I don't have two answers. If I put down two arrows, I'm gonna get the exact same thing. 6 minus 6 and 6 minus 6. They both equal 0. So here, conceptually, I want you to see this real quick. These answers right here are where the parabola hits the x-axis. So if I were to do this equation, okay, I know that my parabola is going to hit at x equals 6 right there. And I also know that my parabola is going to hit at plus 36. So let's do this by 5. So then it's going to hit like right here. So now I would have 2 points on my parabola, and then you'd have to find your line of symmetry to find your other points. But that is it for your notes.